That's a great flag that you have above you. You got a lot of pride about your football team.
Oh, right, that one. Yeah, that's my Portuguese football team. Yeah, they're rubbish. Similar to Crystal Palace. But, you know, you've got to love the underdog.
Of course. I think that my favorite part about doing all these Zoom interviews is when you speak with really great people like yourself, and then you kind of learn, well, what do they have in the background? What's their house like? And like the singer of the Melvins, he just had toys glued to his ceiling, and you never know what you're going to get. So how are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, I've just had the builders in, you know, knocking the house to bits, as you do.
Exactly. And you've got some great new music. The Damned has not been the most prolific bands over the decades, to say the least, but the band's been together. There's been solo albums, so Damned fans have always gotten great music. But when did you actually make this new album? I believe it was recorded last year, right?
Yeah, it's I always say it's quality rather than quantity with the Damned, but we're really fussy. You know, some people may laugh, but we're really, really fussy about what songs we record. And I mean, you know, 50% gets thrown, well, more than that, much more than that gets thrown away in the dustbin. So that's why there's only a smattering of albums kind of following us in our wake. When did we record this one? The tail end of last year, we went to Rockfield. We decided to go back to the scene of the crime, if you like. It's where we did the Black Album and Strawberries and the Friday the 13th EP. And we always get inspiration down there. I don't know what it is, because I'm a confirmed townie, and being on the farm, you know, is nuts, isn't it? Really, cows and bees and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just, I suppose there's nothing else for you to do in a farmyard studio,
right?
You know, there's no distractions like clubs and pubs, and you know. So you just got to get down to it, really. We used to work all through the night, Dave and myself, you know, experimenting with, you know, taking the lid off the piano and banging strings with drumsticks and stuff like that, and all the sort, you know, it was just one big experiment, really, seeing what you could get away with, I suppose. And then the record label, you know, we didn't have record label people breathing down our necks, and they just let you make the album you want. I think we caught the tail end of a golden period for rock and roll, whereas a label would put you in the studio and you could do whatever you wanted, really. But they only ever came down really at the end of the sessions, and we never gave them the album they wanted. Which is probably why we didn't last more than one album per label, really. I think they all wanted kind of a punk album, and we were on a musical adventure.
Right. But the prior album was done here in New York. It was done in Brooklyn, if I'm correct. And that's kind of the opposite. You were not tied down to a farm. It was probably a challenge of staying in the studio when you're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was a nice area to explore. And, you know, we're walking over the bridges and doing all that stuff, really. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that one.
Is the locale of where you make an album very important to you guys? Like, do you outright say, yeah, we have the songs, but we got to do this one here? Or is it just, hey, we got a good deal, we're going there?
It's quite a lot of it's down to, you know, where the producer wants to work, and Tony Visconti and New York in general were a package. So, I mean, I wasn't complaining about that, to be quite honest. I've always loved New York, and to work with Tony Visconti was, you know, a bit of a dream, really. And he didn't disappoint. He was pretty eccentric. Had some fantastic Mark Bolan stories. Mind you, we got a few of them as well, because we toured on his. We did his last tour as his support act.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, we did. We went around Britain with T-Rex in the same tour bus as Mark and his band. And nowadays I think everyone goes in their own tour bus, each individual member. But in those days it was like Magical Mystery Tour. I don't know if you've seen that, a really old-fashioned coach, and and everyone crammed aboard, and both bands mingling, and Mark was just really approachable, and he'd gee us up about talk about studios and dealing with record labels and stuff like that. So I think we caused him a good time, really. He'd been through the the arrogant superstar phase, and he was kind of on the comeback trail, and was working with he chose us to be his support act, which was nice, because a lot of other members of the old the old guard, they didn't really get it.
Yeah. But speaking of support acts and New York, I saw you guys last year at Madison Square Garden opening up for the Misfits, which, wow, you played the Garden. Was that, and you can be honest and tell me no, but is that as big of a thrill or an important thing as I think it would be for a band?
Yeah, absolutely. Not because of the aesthetics. I mean, it's a glorified sports stadium.
Yeah.
It doesn't look nice, especially before the audience gets in. It's pretty, it's just a cavernous kind of play, But I get excited when I know my heroes have played a venue, And for me, Chicago, when they were absolutely on fire, when they did their first album with Poem 58, Listen, and all those great tracks, Liberation, blah blah blah. I mean, that's an album I've devoured over and over, and I listened to every note Terry Caff played on the guitar, and the bass player is phenomenal as well. So for me, Chicago playing Madison Square Garden, I was very, very excited just about that, really. And then when I saw the place, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, there's an old kind of backstage tale that artists actually don't like playing the Garden because they don't get paid because of all the union stuff. The sound is not that great. They just like to be able to say that they played the Garden once, and then the next time they're back in New York for an arena gig, they played the Barclays Center or MetLife or something like that. But I'm glad it was a pleasure for you, and that reminds you, like, one of my favorite things about you and the Damned is that your influences are actually what you like. You just talked about Chicago. I know that you guys were Monkees fans. That kind of thing. Most of the punk pioneers would have kind of denied that they liked real music. You guys have always been honest about your influences.
Yeah, I mean, I spend more time, I think there's a Damned message board. I mean, people think, people ask, do you go on there? Do you eavesdrop on what they're saying about you? I don't know, but I'm always on the Monkees message board, or these other bands that I'm just a fan at the end of the day. I want the Cowsills. The Cowsills, phenomenal. I know more about. I could do a mastermind on the Cowsills. I've never seen them play, but I mean, when I went to the States in the old days, I would trawl around record shops looking for Cowsills albums. I just remember going back to Britain, with my suitcase was so heavy. If you got about 40 vinyl albums, how heavy that is.
Oh, I know. I've done plenty of trips where my suitcase was double the weight coming home with vinyl. For sure. Yeah. And are you still a vinyl guy all these years later?
I've still, I've replaced some of the more scratched versions. So I would go to a record shop to upgrade my collection, rather than, I'm not actively seeking out any new records, because I just love the music that I bought when I was young, And I think for anyone really, it stays with you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got that added nostalgia effect as well, which is so powerful. So this wonderful music, you know, like Chicago and the Monkees and stuff, you know, I play that now and it reminds me of like old girlfriends or, you know, important things in your life. Yeah.
Well, I know at this point in time, you've met every punk musician ever because everyone was basically influenced by the Damned. I said it, not you. But have you met any members of Chicago or the Monkees over the years?
I met 3 of the Monkees. I didn't meet any members of Chicago. No, but I do selfies. You know, they call me the selfie king. That's my hashtag on Instagram because my arm is so long. It's like a selfie stick.
Sure.
So I'm very adept at taking selfies, and I've done Peter Tork, Mickey Dolenz, and when he was with us, Davy Jones. Yeah. So and the funny thing is, you know, quite often when you do a selfie with these people, you kind of jump in, you take the selfie, and the look on their faces quite, who is this nutter?
Yeah.
So I got one of me and Davy Jones, and he's giving this kind of look to the camera. Oh, help! Nut job.
So Mike Nesmith is the lone member that you haven't gotten yet, unfortunately.
He is, yeah, and I think he's acquainted with the Dickies, isn't he?
Yes.
I think is he an item with Stan, his girlfriend? His daughter with Stan, something like that.
I know Mike Nesmith's son Christian is really around the LA music scene, and he'll play for people for free because he doesn't need the money and all that. So I have a feeling you're eventually going to get a selfie with Mike Nesmith as well.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
So a couple of quick questions because, you know, I want to be respectful of your time here. Is the Blah Party still a thing? Is it coming back? What can you tell me?
You know, I had a lot of fun doing that, but it was who would put their trust in an alcoholic, you know, punk rock guitar player, you know,
I would.
rather than you know well, it says a lot about politicians, doesn't it? That you know that we were attracting quite a following, and I actually found it a little bit scary because, you know, people were asking me, you know, important questions about, you know, about life and you know, asking me for advice and, you know, what should we do with, you know, I mean, you got an election coming up as well, you know? And,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, the politicians are shit, you know. I mean, don't look to a drunken guitar player for you know, to lead. I mean, but what do you do? What can you do?
Right.
I mean,
the lesser of all evils. It's like that Black Mirror episode with the stuffed bear that becomes prime minister or whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's always the lesser of two evils, but that's not great, is it? Because quite often the same people are backing both sides. So I mean, you can't really you lose every time, and nothing changes when you get to a certain age. You start noticing this. You know, whoever's in power, nothing really changes. You know, the wars carry on. You know, and you know, the poor remain poor and the rich get richer. You know, and I don't know. Don't ask me.
Well, I still applaud the effort that you did all that. So my closing question for you is, any last words for the kids?
I usually say, buy my records, you bastards.
You can.
But no, I mean, any God, dear. I mean, it's been a fabulous 40 odd years, you know, twanging a guitar for a living. I've been so lucky, really. You know, and the thing is, whatever happens after this ludicrous virus nonsense, you know, I mean, if people can't travel, and that, I feel really sad for, you know, the future of humanity, because travel really does. It's been an education for me. I was a relatively uneducated bozo when I left school. You know, I didn't get any qualifications. I just couldn't understand maths, and they actually threw me out because I refused to take a maths exam. So because I'm not particularly smart, you know. But travel has been, it's been so wonderful. It's really opened my eyes to, you know, different people from around the world, and, you know, and different foods as well, and different beers. So it's just been great fun, and people should travel, you know, and as soon as we're allowed to, you know, I wouldn't. Mind you, you know, that's the thing. They're holding this, you know, this they're locking us up until we all go and, you know, this take Mr. Gates's vaccine. So, I mean, it's a bit of a, it's like blackmail, isn't it? You can't have this until you've done that. So it's not great.
It's not great, but what is great is your new music and talking with you. So thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you live in New York when this all blows over, even if it's not at the Garden.
What's the gig, Grandad? Nobody knows anymore, do they?
Exactly. But thank you so much for your time, man. Best of luck.
Paltrocast.